The JoLynn Braley Show, Episode 35, Why the Inner Self Diet Always Works. Hello and welcome. This is JoLynn Braley, weight loss mindset expert and founder of the Inner Self Diet. And this is the JoLynn Braley Show. Join me on today's show as I go beyond the food to what is the real issue, your mindset. Yes, mindset is 90% of the game if you crave permanent success with your weight. If you would love to become one of, quote unquote, those people. You know, that woman who is very slender, who you either work with, or she's one of your employees, or she's your friend, and you see her eating a cupcake and you wonder, how can she eat just one? Why is she so slender? Why does she enjoy running or walking? Why does she enjoy going to the gym? All I want to do is sit on the couch and eat a whole box of cookies and watch Lifetime television and feel bad about myself and isolate for the whole weekend. Why is it so easy for her? And why is it when I eat a cupcake, I have to eat the whole box of cupcakes? Well, the reason is mindset. And the exciting thing is that if you would truly love, and you're really serious about leaving all of your ongoing food and weight struggles behind you, then once you do the proven steps to get a core solid weight loss mindset, you won't have any of these struggles any longer. The emotional eating, binge eating, night eating, stuffing yourself, food obsessions, beating yourself up mentally and emotionally, perfectionism, black and white thinking, any and all negative behaviors that you do to yourself that contribute to your overweight body, those are all symptoms of your FAT mindset. Your FAT mindset is a mindset grounded in fear-attracting thoughts, and it is a direct match to an overweight body and overweight behaviors. All of that bad feeling stuff is left behind when you solve what is 90% of your problem right now, and that is your mindset. This is why those little food diets, the New Year's resolutions, forcing yourself to lose weight, doing boot camps, signing up for gym memberships, hiring another nutritionist, all the things that you've done to force yourself to get thin, this is why they've never worked for you, and this is why 95% of dieters fail. Diet and exercise is only 10% of the solution. What makes that 10% extremely easy to do is once you solve the 90%, which is your mindset. And no, positive thinking, affirmations, those are not enough. Those only hit the surface when you have a lifelong problem like you have. How do you know it's lifelong? Well, take a piece of paper right now and write on that paper. Take a pen and a paper. If you don't do this pen on paper, you're going to miss out on the whole benefit you'll get from this. If you only listen to me, you're not going to get much out of this podcast. You want to bring pen and paper to every podcast because I give you very important questions to ask yourself on each episode. And here's something up front I'm giving you right now. When you do write pen on paper, then you will benefit from the connection that occurs between your head, your hand, and your heart. So, write on that paper right now your current age. All right? That's easy for you to do. Now, as you travel back in time through your lifetime, through your memories, go all the way back to your very first memory that you can remember when you were a tiny child, and then come back up to the first memories you have of any kind of negativity that has to do with food or your weight. Could be that you thought you weren't good enough, or that you weren't thin enough, that there was something wrong with you, your body wasn't right, so you were having body image issues, or somebody told you you were fat. Maybe you were overweight. Maybe you weren't. I was not even overweight when I thought I was fat. And that is when all of my food and weight struggle started, when I was just a tiny kid, 7 years old. And I had picked up some negative thoughts about food and weight from some well-meaning adults around me. That is where all of my struggle started. It's the same thing for all of my clients. It's the same thing for you when you still have not achieved permanent success with your weight. When you're still obsessing about food, you're still yo-yo dieting, you're still searching for ways to lose weight, then you've never healed the root of your lifelong problem. So now that you've identified how old you were, what was your young age back then, 7, 8, 10, whatever age you were, when you first started struggling with food and your weight, you know that was when all of this started, because that's when you can remember those negative thoughts. So take that number, that age you were, write it on the paper underneath your current age, subtract the 2, and then circle the number you get. That is how old this problem is. That is how old your food and weight struggles are. This is how long you have been struggling in this muckmire with food and your weight. Now it makes even more sense to you why those little food diets that are only 10% of the solution, food and exercise programs are 10%. It does matter how you eat and exercise, but you can't do it. You can't do it consistently when you don't have your inner self sorted out, when you don't have the mindset, when you don't have the inner game, when you don't have the inner programming. Call it whatever you want to call it. But one of the universal laws that we all live under is the inner and the outer always match. When you have an inside that is fat, your outside is fat. When your inside is grounded in FAT, fear-attracting thoughts, then your outside will match that, and that's what you've got going on. The exciting thing is that once that FAT mindset is transformed into a weight loss mindset, then it will be very, very, very easy for you to do the 10%. Just like one of the graduates of the Inner Self Diet, Barb, said. She said that before she hired me as her mentor and coach, she said, I was frustrated by my inconsistent ability to do what I knew I must do in order to lose weight. In other words, to eat sensibly and exercise. I felt discouraged and I doubted that I could ever lose weight and keep it off. Today, after doing the steps of the Inner Self Diet to get a weight loss mindset, my mindset is completely different. I have hope and I have the tools I need to accomplish my goals, not only weight loss, but all of my goals. I've already released 50 pounds and am down 3 sizes, struggle-free. You can read the testimonials from the folks I've worked with over at fearlessfatloss.com, and there is a link at the top of the website to the testimonials page, and you can read the rest of what Barb shared there. But the truth is that besides the truth of what Barb has to share with you there and all of my other clients, Dave is another awesome client who released 90 pounds. And he said, no one would know that I'm dieting because I'm not. I've changed my mindset and thinking, and it's all become an exciting part of the journey. And then he updated me after he had already graduated. It was over a year later, and he said that he was down 90 pounds, that he has done it without struggle, and he said that I've done this without forcing myself or depriving myself. I now jog usually 5 days a week, keep changing people's lives. And that is from Dave in Indianapolis. And again, you can read these yourself over at fearlessfatloss.com. All high achievers know that your mindset is the key to your success. Mary Kay Ash, Mary Kay Cosmetics. If you're familiar with that company, it's a little bit like Avon from what I understand. And they have consultants, right? So they give out business materials to their new consultants to teach them how to build their own business selling Mary Kay Cosmetics. And in her business materials, she says that Your business plan is only 10% of your success. Your mindset is 90% of your success in growing your business as a Mary Kay consultant. So when your mindset sucks, your weight loss is going to suck. If you believe that weight loss is hard, you're right, and that belief is coming from your mindset. If you believe that you will always be fat, you're right, and that belief is coming from your mindset. Beliefs are just one of the most important things that must be shifted in order to get a weight loss mindset. That is one of the ingredients of a weight loss mindset. There are several others. Now let's look at today's topic, why the inner self diet always works. Why does the inner self diet always work? How could that be possible? Why is it that 95% of dieters fail, but then the inner self diet always works? How could that be? Well, first of all, let's look at what the inner self diet is, because that right there will help you shed light on the major distinction between the inner self diet and all of those little food diets that you've done, and the little food diets that I used to do too. I have been where you used to be, which is why I can speak so passionately about what I do today to help awesome people get out from underneath that struggle and release not only their physical weight, but their emotional weight, the weight of the failures, the weight of feeling so bad about yourself. All of that muckmire, all of that can be released, and then the physical weight will also be released without struggle. So first, let's answer the question, what is the inner self diet? Number one, the inner self diet is not another food diet. The people I work with have so much information about nutrition and exercise, they could teach classes on it. That is not the problem. Just like Barb said, she already knew that she needed to eat healthy, eat sensibly, and exercise. That is not the problem. The folks who come to me, it's just like you. You know what you need to do to lose weight, but you're not doing it. And when you're not doing it, you know then that you definitely have a mindset issue. So number one, the inner self diet is not another food diet. I don't even teach my clients how to eat. They don't need to know that. They need to know how to trust themselves, how to get in alignment with themselves. This is a core root transformation that goes to the core of why you've been struggling your whole life. And the reasons that you've been struggling your whole life are not about the food, and they're not about your weight. You have a life issue. You have a mindset issue. It's like Candy said. Candy is another graduate of the Inner Self Diet, and she said that she came to me. She said, I came to JoLynn for a solution for my weight, and what I got was a life solution. That's how it has to be if you want permanent weight loss. You're not going to get permanent weight loss from doing another food diet. That doesn't mean, again, just to specify, it doesn't mean that food diets are bad. They're just not supposed to solve your emotional eating. They're not supposed to solve your binge eating. They can't solve your yo-yo dieting, your inability to stay consistent, your food obsessions. They can't solve any of those things, and they're not supposed to, so you don't need to make those food diets bad. And I am speaking of healthy food diets, not the silly little sprinkles or silly little diet pills that can be very harmful to you, or these fruit extracts. I mean, if you buy those, then that tells you that you have a problem with magical thinking. And there is another podcast episode of the JoLynn Braley Show that you would really enjoy listening to and benefit greatly from, and it's about magical weight loss. So that would be a good one for you to listen to. So the Inner Self Diet, what is it? It is the solution to all of your ongoing food and weight struggles. It is the solution to your struggles with eating healthy and exercising and living a healthy lifestyle consistently without force. It is the solution to your emotional eating, to your binge eating, to your yo-yo dieting, to anything and everything that you've been doing to yourself that is unhealthy, to your negative self-talk. Whatever it is that you do to yourself, even if it's something I have not listed, if you call yourself a sugar addict, whatever it is, the Inner Self Diet will heal it because it goes to the root of why you do those behaviors. And those behaviors, again, they are not about the food. The food and the fat are only symptoms of the muckmire that you've got on the inside. The muckmire can be cleaned up. It can be healed. It can be released. And you can actually live struggle-free with food and your weight. And that's what today's podcast is about, is why the Inner Self Diet always works. So now that you know what the Inner Self Diet is, and also to give you another definition of the Inner Self Diet, it is my proprietary. It is a proprietary, proven. Proprietary means that I'm the only one that has it. It is my system that I have put together, and it is including my own intuitive skills, all of my master NLP practitioner skills. It includes my law of attraction skills, anything and everything that I've learned throughout my lifetime to help my clients achieve struggle-free permanent weight loss. And it's my proven step-by-step system to struggle-free permanent success with your weight. So why does it always work, though? Why does it always work? How can that be possible? Especially when 95% of dieters fail. Well, first of all, you know that 95% of dieters failing, those are the dieters doing the little food diets. This is why that man, I believe his name was Eric, he was one of the winners of The Biggest Loser. He was the one that owned a deli on the East Coast, and he gained back the 100-plus pounds that he had lost. Oprah had him on her show to talk about it. What The Biggest Loser does is The Biggest Loser puts these people, and the people, of course, they're not being forced to do it. They're forcing themselves to do it because they're on the show, but it's all about the food and the exercise, you know. They don't do the work of the Inner Self Diet to heal the root of why that person became 100, 200, 300 pounds overweight in the first place. And the root of that has nothing to do with food and exercise. So until you get a weight loss mindset, it doesn't matter how many times you lose weight, you won't be able to maintain it. It's just a no-win situation. It's almost better that you don't even diet anymore than put yourself through those ongoing failures. So, okay, let's look at why the Inner Self Diet always works. Number one reason why it always works. You were not born a compulsive overeater. You were not born a food addict. You were not born an emotional eater. You were not born obsessed with food. You were not born with a food and weight problem. You were just fine when you were born. There was nothing wrong with you. And if you have children of your own, or you've ever been around children, if you were mindful and you noticed, what you saw and what you experienced was that if you tried to put food in the mouth of a baby when they are already full, they will do one of a couple things. One of the things that they will do is they will turn their head. They don't want any more food. They know they are full. If you still insist on shoving food in that baby's mouth, the baby will either spit it out or they will vomit it out. Now, if you persist and think that you know more than that baby does, and actually the baby knows more than you do, if you persist in shoving food and forcing food in that baby's mouth, eventually it might relent and allow you to keep putting food in its mouth. But the baby knows. Just like animals, unless an animal has an emotional problem, there are some domesticated animals that do have emotional issues, especially if they were abused as kittens or puppies or whatever kind of animal it is. If they do not have any kind of an emotional issue, animals are the same way. They don't overeat. They don't do that because they don't need more food. They know when they are full. They won't overeat, again, unless they have some kind of an emotional issue. And I'm not referring to dogs that chew things up and eat things that aren't food. That is another issue. That is an emotional issue having to do with separation anxiety, things like that. But when we're talking about food, a baby or an animal will not take more food in their mouth than they need when they are physically full. That is how you were born. You got totally off track because adults told you something different and you believed them, and now here you are, and you've been living with this struggle since it began when you were a child, and you already identified that age earlier in today's show. So another reason why the inner self diet always works is it heals the root of that struggle that you've been living with your entire life. And as I said before, a little food diet cannot do that for you. It's not supposed to do that for you. A little food diet is a recipe for you can eat this, don't eat that kind of a plan to follow. But what you don't know, and this is where coaching is so invaluable that you can't even put a price tag on it. You have no idea right now what you do not know. You don't even know what your own roadblocks are with your problems and your challenges and your struggles with overeating and overweight. And you will not know what they are as long as you continue to try to figure it out on your own. This is the same way it is for all people. This is why all high achievers have their own coaches. If you're familiar with Dr. Wayne Dyer, even he has his own coaches and mentors. Everybody anyone who has reached a high level of success has hired mentors and coaches to help them along the way. All high achievers know that the quickest way to get to where they want to go is to hire a professional to help them get to where they want to go. And I'm not talking about therapy. I can't tell you how many clients I've had who have been in therapy for years and they never got the results that they got from the Inner Self Diet. Candy, who I mentioned earlier, she's a graduate of the Inner Self Diet. She's one of those people. And she had talked about that she'd been in therapy for, it was 3 or 5 years, and what she was always wanting was a solution, and she wanted a way to deal with her worries. And just look at how often you worry about your weight. You worry about the food you're eating. You worry that if you eat this, then you're going to get fat, or if you don't eat that all the professionals, the diet gurus tell you that you should eat, then you won't lose weight. And you're constantly worried and anxious about this or that, and is this going to put 5 pounds on my body if I eat this one little cupcake, and it just goes on. And she never got a solution to that from therapy. Therapy is about talking. Therapy is about examining. Therapy is about emoting. Coaching, depending on the coach you work with, if you work with a highly skilled coach, it's about results. And that's what I do with my clients. My goal, my intention is to get my clients the tools and the processes, and then also to do the transformative work with them so they get the results they seek in the least amount of time possible. So all high achievers know this. You don't get there on your own. That's, in fact, the way that I went from a size 12 to an 8 in only 2 months back in 2010 was by investing in myself with my own coaches. One of the problems of an FAT mindset is it will tell you that you're not worth getting help, that you should be able to figure it out on your own. It will hold you in a place of denial, and it will tell you that you should just do another diet on Monday. But then what you can look at is, what are the results you're getting from that? How many years have you been doing that? Do you like the results? If you do, then that's great. Keep doing what you're doing. If you don't, then you're going to need to do something radically different. All right, so number 3, why does the Inner Self Diet always work? Well, the Inner Self Diet, at its foundation, it is grounded in universal laws. And whenever you do anything in life and you take universal law out of what you're doing, and you're not conscious and mindful of how this universe works, then you might achieve some success, but you'll never get the success that you get when you work with the laws of the universe, because you will always win when you do that. You will always succeed. And I know how the laws of this universe work and how it is impacting your body and your life and your mindset right now. And most people do not live in conscious alignment with the laws of this universe. And again, you just have to look at the results that you're getting. If you were already living struggle-free with food and your weight, if you were living as a naturally slender person does, which, by the way, naturally slender people are not perfect. Here's an example. Let's look at Thanksgiving. Even naturally slender people sometimes overeat. The difference is, and how they're so different from you, is if they overeat, they say, "Oh, I feel stuffed, I don't want anything else," and then they don't eat again until they're physically hungry. Wow. How does that correlate with the little baby that I was talking about? The way that you do it, though, is you overeat and then you tell yourself, "Oh, I just screwed up. Now I'm bad. Now I'm wrong. I'm not good, because I'm only good if I stick to my diet. And since I screwed up, then I might as well go see what else I can eat. How much more pie can I eat? How many leftovers can I take home? And what else do I have at home that I can eat now? All the things that I've been denying myself when I was sticking to my diet, and now I've blown it. And wow, it's a holiday season, and since you just overate at Thanksgiving, it's a holiday season, so why don't I just wait? I don't want to deny myself anything during the holiday season, but I'm not going to have just one Christmas cookie. I'll eat 10, and then I'm not going to worry about the 10, 20, 30 pounds I gain. I'll just make another New Year's resolution, and then I'll lose it all at the beginning of the year." Do you know how many people I know made New Year's resolutions last year? And guess how much weight they lost? A New Year's resolution is an attempt to force yourself to lose weight. And why am I talking about this here in August? Well, did you make a New Year's resolution last January? In January, let's see, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. That was 7 months ago. And it's actually almost September. Just imagine if you'd gotten a weight loss mindset instead, you would already be at your goal weight, depending on how overweight you are, of course. The human body only releases fat at a certain rate. So, this is why the inner self diet always works. 3 reasons why. There are even more reasons why, but do you really need more reasons why? And if you do need more reasons why the inner self diet always works, then what you want to look at is these questions that I will give you right after the commercial break. Today's sponsor of the JoLynn Braley Show is the Inner Self Diet. What a coincidence. You can go and apply now for a complimentary one-on-one discovery session with me. You would actually talk to me one-on-one. And the purpose of the discovery session is to find out if or how there is a fit for you to get permanent success with your weight in the Inner Self Diet. How do you apply? You go to discovery-session.com. Fill out that application, and that is your first step towards struggle-free permanent success with your weight. It's the same first step that all of the graduates of the Inner Self Diet took. Once again, you can apply for the complimentary weight loss discovery session at discovery-session.com. This is only for you if you really are serious about releasing all of your food and weight struggles. It's not for you if you just want to get on the phone with me and ask me about the JoLynn Braley Show. If that's what you want to do, then go over to fearlessfatloss.com/contact And you can use our contact form and send in an email. We'd be happy to get your email through the contact form. Okay, questions to ask yourself. On every episode of the JoLynn Braley Show, I give you questions to ask yourself. I highly recommend you write these down pen on paper so that you get the connection that occurs between your head, hand, and your heart. If you only listen to me, you're not going to get a whole heck of a lot out of this episode. And it is a free podcast, obviously. In order to, of course, achieve struggle-free, lasting success with your weight, to get permanent weight loss, you do need to work with a highly skilled coach and mentor, and that requires communication, actually speaking with that person. Here on a free podcast, obviously that's not what you are getting, so why not take advantage of these questions that I'll give you? And if you can hold yourself accountable and follow through and do that, then you will get something out of this. That's another benefit of working with a highly skilled coach and mentor is the accountability piece. And also, you do have to have skin in the game. You have to be committed to yourself. You have to be invested in yourself. If you're always looking for free things, if you're always looking for free this, free that, you want free weight loss, free tips, then you want to really examine that, because that is an indication of your level of self-worth. If you don't believe that you're worthy of investing in yourself and paying money to get help so that you can solve a problem that has plagued you your entire life, then that is also a symptom of an FAT mindset. And I encourage you to become aware of how often you are looking for free, because that will hold you stuck in your struggle with food and your weight. It's something, a bonus for you there that today's topic was not even about, but it's highly important. As long as you know that you can actually become struggle-free, why wouldn't you do that for yourself? The reasons why you wouldn't is because you will allow your FAT mindset to throw up all kinds of excuses that will hold you stuck in your comfort zone. And do you like living there? If you like it, then keep doing it. But then I would ask yourself, why are you listening to me right now? What are you getting out of this? All right, so the questions to ask yourself on today's show. Number one, I said right before the commercial break that I gave you 3 reasons why the inner self diet always works, and if you need more, then you would want to examine that also, because that's also another symptom of your FAT mindset. If you're constantly doubting yourself, you're doubting that anyone can help you, you're doubting the inner self diet always works, then question number 1 to ask yourself, write this down and then write your answer. When exactly will I know that I've gotten enough proof? When exactly will I know that I have gotten enough proof? And how will you know? What is this proof that I need? What exactly is the proof I need that the inner self diet always works? What do you need? A firstborn child? If there's never enough proof for you, if you have that little belief in yourself that you can actually do something different and follow instructions and allow a highly skilled, proven coach and mentor to coach you, then those are more symptoms of an FAT mindset, because as long as you continue to doubt yourself so much and doubt that you can ever have what you are saying you want, which is permanent weight loss, that doubt will hold you where you are. And you also have a problem with it's never going to be enough, which you can see evidence of in your eating. There's never enough food that fills up that hole within you, is there? And you are already aware of that. If you have this problem going on of there's never enough. So there would never be enough proof for you that the inner self diet always works. It would just never be enough. And so how do you break out of that? What do you do? How do you build the belief in yourself that you could really succeed? Well, at least become aware, and that's what you're doing right now. You need to know where you're at in order to buy a ticket and go to where you want to go. How could you call up an airline and purchase a ticket to the Bahamas if you could not tell them the city that you're flying out of? So you're discovering right now the city that you're living in with food and your weight. And if it's a city of failure and sadness and hopelessness and depression and lack of belief that you could ever succeed, at least you know what city you're in. If you were not conscious of that, then it would be even worse. So it's good to become aware. All right, so you already answered the question, when exactly will I know that I've gotten enough proof? What is this proof? How will I know I've gotten this proof? And then the next question is, exactly how long is this going to take for me to gather all of this proof? Exactly how long will it take for me to gather all of this proof? Whatever the proof is. What exactly is this proof? I do recommend that you go over to fearlessfatloss.com and read the 20 plus testimonials of all of the awesome people, some of the awesome people. Not everyone gives me a written testimonial because some of the people I work with, they just feel really private, and that's okay. But they still get the results. And here's someone else, Chrissy from Salt Lake City. She wrote, "Why does working with JoLynn Braley work? It goes right to the core of yourself to release the physical and emotional weight from your body. It's work, and you have to be invested in the tools that she gives you. I did it and went from a size 10 to a size 9, and I'm still losing weight. But what I have learned with JoLynn goes beyond the weight loss. For the first time in my life, I have created a relationship with myself. I have learned how to get out of my own way and release my own fears. I am in alignment with me. This is not a diet." Even though it's called the Inner Self Diet, but it's not a little food diet. So your question that you're working on there is, exactly how long is this going to take until I gather all of the proof that I need? And then another question to ask yourself, exactly how am I going to be living until then? Exactly how am I going to be living until then? So what will change? Exactly what is going to change in my overeating? Exactly what will change in my compulsive overeating? Exactly what will change in my emotional eating? Exactly what will change in my food obsessions? Exactly what is going to be different during the time that I'm gathering all of this proof? One of the awesome people that I worked with, Laura from New Jersey, she said that she had been, she was aware of me for over a year. She was following me on my Permanent Weight Loss Secrets e-zine, and that during that year she kept telling herself that she thought that things would just get better and that she could figure it out on her own. And what she said was that things only got worse. I don't know how you could figure out how to solve the root of your lifelong food and weight struggles on your own. But hey, if you can do that, that's great. Why don't you just do that now? If you already have a proven step-by-step system, why are you listening to me? Go do it now. Get off of this podcast and just go do it. Go take action with it. And release that struggle. So what you've learned from these questions is what your level of belief is that you could ever succeed. There's so many people that what you do to yourself is you say, oh, well, that's nice that all these people that have worked with JoLynn have gotten these results and that the Inner Self Diet always works for them, but, well, I'm different and I can't succeed. Well, the thing is that you're right. If you believe that you can't succeed, you are correct. because that belief, you have to prove it right. You have to prove it right. If you don't prove your beliefs right, then you would be crazy, and you don't want to be crazy, right? Okay, shout outs. To get a shout out from me on the JoLynn Braley Show, here's how you do it. Go to thejolynnbraeleyshow.com and click like to like our Facebook page, and I'll give you a shout out on an upcoming episode. It's a lot of fun, and it's a way to acknowledge you. Here's something very telling also to notice about the symptoms of your FAT mindset. If you're afraid to click like on our Facebook page for the JoLynn Braley Show, because you don't want other people to know that you are in struggle, even though there's millions of people out there just like you, then you have a great deal of shame and guilt and embarrassment about your struggles. That's something else for you to be aware of. And those are just more symptoms of your FAT mindset. All of that can be solved once you get a core solid weight loss mindset. I share that with you because I've actually had people ask me if there was some way that they could follow me anonymously on Facebook because they didn't want anyone to know that they had a problem. And that's an even bigger problem right there. That's also why you see people on Facebook who do not use a picture. They use a picture of a flower or a picture of their dog. When you have that much shame about yourself and about how you look and about your overweight, those are symptoms of your FAT mindset. That stuff will suck you in even deeper into the struggle. And what's good about knowing this is that all of that can be healed once you get a weight loss mindset, once you sort out your inner self. What's really cool is that it means that no one else out there needs to change. It's nobody else's problem. Once you step up for you, it can all be in the past. And that's a really good thing. Let's take a look at what you learned today. What you learned today is that 90% of your challenge, your struggle, is your mindset. You also learned that the inner self diet always works and why it always works. You learned what the inner self diet is. You learned that I work with awesome people. My clients rock. I love the people I work with. They are excited about changing. They are excited about leaving all of their struggles in the past, and they're willing to commit to themselves and do the radically different steps they've never done so that they can heal the root of their lifelong food and weight struggles. And if that is you, you also learned that you can go to discovery-session.com and fill out the application for a complimentary weight loss discovery session now. Those are reviewed on a first-come, first-served basis, and there are a limited number of time slots available each week. So if you are serious about getting this done, then do that now. Why in the world would you want to wait and keep yourself in struggle? Isn't that rather masochistic? Don't you deserve better? I believe you do, but only you can believe that for yourself. Today you also learned that you were not born a compulsive overeater. You were not born an emotional eater. There was nothing wrong with you when you were a tiny baby. You knew what to do. You got off track. You listened to bigger people, which makes sense. I mean, look at how small you were. And there were these huge people around you. You were just a tiny little baby. And the good thing is that can all be healed now, the struggle that you've gotten yourself into. You also learned exactly how big this problem is that you're living with. And you also learned why it is that those little food diets never solved it for you. And you learned that there's no reason to make the food diet wrong. It's not its fault. All right, so be sure and go to thejolynnbraeleyshow.com and click like on our Facebook page, and you'll get a shout out from me on an upcoming show. If you are subscribed in iTunes, go ahead and give the show a 5-star rating. I believe this is a 5-star show. We are here to help you break through your diet mentality, your FAT mindset, and at the very least, understand why it is you've never succeeded on your own and why you've never gotten permanent success with your weight. Next week's episode, how others view your overweight. This is Get Real episode number 9. That will be next week. This is JoLynn Braley, weight loss mindset expert, founder of the Inner Self Diet, and you have been listening to the JoLynn Braley Show. Go to discovery-session.com, complete your application for a complimentary weight loss discovery session now so that you can get on the road to struggle-free, lasting success with your weight. Or if you're not serious about doing that for yourself, then you can go to fearlessfatloss.com and just grab my free 5-day e-course that will help you learn more about your mindset and discover what has really been stopping you from losing weight for good and what you can do about it. Here's to your best life in your ideal body.